The stage was set when the United States, driven by a desire to protect its domestic industries, imposed a series of aggressive tariffs on billions of dollars worth of goods. In a bold move intended to shield American manufacturers, these tariffs sent shockwaves through global markets.
Beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff.
Trump introduced punitive tariffs on China, as well as trying to rebalance the trade deficit.
Yet no one could have predicted that China's swift, calculated response would not only disrupt American exports, but also target the very heart of the nation's economic might. What began as a diplomatic maneuver quickly evolved into a high-stakes economic battle that has left entire industries reeling and forced companies to scramble for survival. The U.S. government's decision to launch these tariffs was presented as a means to safeguard American jobs and revive faltering domestic industries.
I will impose whatever tariffs are required, 100%, 200%, 1,000%.
The announcement was as dramatic as it was unexpected, a clear message that foreign competition would no longer be allowed to undercut American production. Yet the tariffs carried an immediate and profound consequence, disrupting established supply chains and triggering uncertainty among exporters and importers alike. Industries that had long relied on the predictability of international trade suddenly found themselves facing an unpredictable future. And the automotive sector was among the first to feel the full force of this new economic policy. China, however, was not a passive onlooker. In what can only be described as a masterstroke of strategic retaliation, Beijing unveiled a countermeasure that struck at a vulnerability deeply embedded in the American economy. Rather than targeting a broad array of products, China's response was precise and calculated, focusing on critical components of the U.S. automotive industry. By imposing retaliatory tariffs and restricting exports of vital raw materials, elements essential for everything from electric vehicle batteries to advanced semiconductor chips, China sent a clear signal. The economic battlefield was shifting, and no industry was safe from the ripple effects of this high-stakes conflict. American automakers, once the epitome of industrial strength, found themselves caught in a maelstrom of disruption. Companies like Ford, General Motors, and even trailblazers like Tesla, which had enjoyed booming success bolstered by expansive international markets, were suddenly reeling from a chain reaction of setbacks. Supply chains that had operated with clockwork precision were thrown into disarray as shipments stalled and critical parts became scarce. Production lines, once humming, with the promise of innovation and growth, ground to a halt. The immediate aftermath was a scene of chaos. Factories under strain, stocks plummeting, and investors questioning the long-held assumptions about America's unassailable position in the global market. But the automotive crisis was only the beginning. The shockwaves of this economic clash reverberated far beyond the assembly lines and boardrooms of Detroit. As American car manufacturers struggled to navigate the new reality, the broader economic impact soon became apparent. Stock markets reacted with swift brutality, erasing billions of dollars in market value as investor confidence faltered. The tremors were felt on a national scale. Small businesses tied to the automotive supply chain, from parts manufacturers to local dealerships, were forced to confront an uncertain future. Workers in manufacturing hubs, cities and towns that had long depended on the auto industry as their economic lifeblood, suddenly faced the grim prospect of layoffs and plant closures, with communities left to grapple with the fallout of a once reliable source of prosperity. On the global stage, the trade conflict was rewriting long-established alliances and shifting the balance of economic power. Competitors in Europe, Japan, and emerging markets seized the opportunity to fill the void left by struggling American automakers. European brands, long respected for their engineering prowess and innovative designs, capitalized on the disruption by deepening their own ties with Chinese manufacturers. In doing so, they not only secured a more favorable position in the world's largest consumer market, but also set the stage for a broader realignment in the global auto industry. The move was not merely about recapturing lost ground, it was about redefining what it meant to be competitive in an era where geopolitical influence could tip the scales overnight. Amid the turmoil, another revolution was quietly gathering pace. The rise of electric vehicles, EVs, and next-generation automotive technologies. As the traditional combustion engine era faltered under the weight of trade disputes and economic instability, the race to dominate the future of transportation intensified. China, already investing heavily in its domestic EV sector, found itself with a dual advantage. Not only did its countermeasures weaken American competitors, but they also accelerated the shift toward a greener, more technologically advanced automotive future. With substantial government support, Chinese companies were able to secure essential resources, rare earth metals, lithium, cobalt, and nickel that are critical for advanced battery systems and electric motors. This strategic move not only widened the technological gap between the two nations, but also underscored a sobering reality. While American automakers scrambled for alternatives, their Chinese counterparts were paving the way to a future defined by innovation and sustainable growth. In Washington, the political fallout from this economic showdown was as intense as the market repercussions. President Trump's tariff strategy, once heralded as a bold step toward economic independence, became the subject of fierce debate on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle found themselves grappling with a crisis that was as much about national pride as it was about economic survival. Critics argued that the aggressive tariffs had inadvertently set off a chain reaction that endangered not only American jobs, but also the very foundations of the country's industrial might. Proposals for emergency aid packages, tax breaks for struggling manufacturers, and even calls for renegotiating international trade agreements emerged as political factions sought to chart a course through the uncertainty. The resulting infighting and policy gridlock only deepened the crisis, leaving many to wonder if the nation's leadership could steer the economy away from the brink of collapse. Yet amid the chaos, the human cost of the economic conflict became increasingly visible. In manufacturing towns that had once thrived on the promise of steady work and upward mobility, the specter of unemployment loomed large. Families who had counted on a paycheck from a local auto plant suddenly found themselves facing financial instability. In cities like Detroit, where the auto industry had long been synonymous with hope and progress, the relentless cycle of layoffs and factory closures sowed seeds of despair. The very identity of these communities, built over generations around the dream of the American working class, was called into question. As the economic shockwave spread from corporate boardrooms to local neighborhoods, it became painfully clear that the trade war was not just a battle of numbers and tariffs. It was a struggle that would leave lasting scars on the nation's social and cultural fabric. On a broader scale, the strategic maneuvers unfolding in the trade war signaled a dramatic shift in global power dynamics. For decades, the United States had enjoyed a near monopoly on innovation and industrial might, its automotive giants serving as symbols of national strength. However, China's counteroffensive not only disrupted the U.S. auto industry, it challenged the very assumptions that underpinned American economic dominance. By leveraging its control over critical raw materials and fostering robust domestic manufacturing capabilities, China effectively redefined the rules of engagement. This bold move opened the door for a new era in which economic might was measured not solely by production volume or technological prowess, but by the strategic ability to control essential resources and supply chains. As nations around the world watched closely, the message was clear. In today's interconnected global economy, vulnerabilities could be exploited with devastating precision. The technological race that has emerged from this turbulent backdrop is reshaping the future of transportation in profound ways. Electric vehicles, autonomous driving systems, and artificial intelligence-driven mobility solutions are no longer distant dreams. They are the battlegrounds on which the future of the automotive industry is being contested. In this rapidly evolving landscape, China's aggressive investments in next-generation battery technology and EV infrastructure have given its domestic companies a competitive edge that American automakers are struggling to match. With government-backed subsidies, strategic partnerships, and a relentless focus on innovation, Chinese firms have positioned themselves as the frontrunners in the global race for sustainable mobility. Meanwhile, the U.S. finds itself grappling with a dual challenge: adapting to a new technological paradigm while simultaneously contending with the economic repercussions of a trade war that has exposed critical vulnerabilities. As the dust begins to settle on this dramatic economic confrontation, the long-term implications for the American auto industry and the nation as a whole remain uncertain. The once unassailable dominance of U.S. automakers has been irrevocably shaken, forcing a hard look at an industrial landscape in desperate need of reinvention. For many industry leaders, the path forward involves more than just temporary fixes or emergency measures. It requires a fundamental rethinking of business models, supply chain strategies, and the very approach to innovation in a world where global competition is fiercer than ever. The question is no longer whether America can weather the storm, but whether it can emerge on the other side with a renewed sense of purpose and a competitive edge that can stand up to the relentless pressures of a rapidly changing global economy. This new reality has ignited a fierce debate among policymakers, economists, and industry insiders. Some argue that government intervention is essential. A series of targeted subsidies, strategic investments in domestic manufacturing, and a renewed commitment to research and development could help bridge the gap. Others contend that the solution lies in embracing the inevitable shift toward a more diversified, technology-driven economy, one that relies less on outdated models of production and more on agility, innovation, and international collaboration. In the halls of Congress and the boardrooms of major corporations alike, there is a growing recognition that the trade war has not only exposed weaknesses, but also created opportunities for radical transformation. The challenge, however, is to strike the delicate balance between safeguarding national interests and fostering an environment that encourages long-term growth and resilience. At the heart of this economic maelstrom lies a profound lesson about the fragility of modern supply chains and the dangers of over-reliance on any single market. The disruption wrought by China's countermeasures has forced American companies to confront the reality that global production networks are as complex as they are vulnerable. From the sourcing of raw materials to the assembly of high-tech components, every link in the chain has been put to the test. For an industry that once prided itself on its efficiency and innovation, the breakdown of these critical connections is a stark reminder that success in the modern era depends on adaptability, foresight, and the willingness to embrace change, even when that change comes in the form of an unexpected economic assault. In the end, the story of this trade war is not one of simple winners and losers. It is a multifaceted saga of ambition, strategy, and the inexorable march of progress in an increasingly complex world. As the United States grapples with the fallout of policies that once promised to protect its industrial might, and as China leverages its newfound power to redefine global economic norms, one thing is abundantly clear: the rules of the game have changed. American automakers now face a stark reality in which survival depends on innovation, strategic partnerships, and an unyielding commitment to reinventing themselves in the face of relentless global competition. So, as we watch this unfolding drama, we are left with a pressing question. Can America reforge its industrial legacy, or has the era of unchallenged dominance come to an end? The answers may not be immediate, and the journey ahead promises to be fraught with challenges. But one thing is certain: the trade war has set in motion a chain of events that will continue to reshape the global economy for years to come. If this story has left you with more questions than answers, consider the possibilities. What if this economic upheaval sparks a renaissance of innovation? Or what if it marks the beginning of an era in which traditional power structures are permanently upended as the debate rages on in boardrooms, legislative halls, and around dinner tables across the nation? We invite you to join the conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you found this deep dive eye-opening, and subscribe for more insights into the forces shaping our world. In a landscape where every decision can ripple outwards to affect millions of lives, staying informed is more crucial than ever. The clash of titans on the global auto stage is just one chapter in a much larger narrative. A narrative underscores the interconnectedness of our economies, the fragility of our supply chains, and the relentless drive for progress. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that sometimes The most disruptive events lead to the most transformative changes.